Have you ever wondered how animals get rid of the waste that builds up inside them? Or why some animals produce different types of waste than others? Today, we are diving into the fascinating world of excretory products and their elimination. From fish to birds to insects, each creature has its own unique way of staying healthy by managing waste. Let's explore. Animals accumulate various waste products through metabolic activities and ingestion, including ammonia, urea, uric acid, carbon dioxide, water, and ions like sodium, potassium, chlorine, phosphate, and sulfate. These substances must be removed either partially or completely to maintain homeostasis. Now, let's talk about ammonia, which is the most toxic form of nitrogenous waste. It requires large amounts of water for elimination. On the other hand, we have urea, which is less toxic than ammonia and requires moderate water for elimination. Finally, there's uric acid, which is the least toxic form and requires minimal water for elimination. Let's start with the modes of excretion. Ammonotolism, where ammonia excretion is the norm. Bony fishes, aquatic amphibians, and aquatic insects excrete ammonia through a diffusion process. Ammonia diffuses across body surfaces or through gill surfaces as ammonium ions. Interestingly, the kidneys play no significant role in ammonia removal for these animals. Next, we have ureotelism, which is crucial for terrestrial adaptation. Land animals needed less toxic waste products to conserve water. Urea is less toxic than ammonia and requires less water to excrete. Mammals, terrestrial amphibians, and even some marine fishes are examples of ureotelic organisms. In these animals, the liver converts ammonia to urea, which then enters the bloodstream. The kidneys filter and excrete urea from the blood. Now, let's talk about uricotelism. This method of excretion minimizes water loss, which is crucial for terrestrial adaptation. Reptiles, birds, land snails, and insects are examples of uricotelic organisms. They excrete nitrogenous wastes as uric acid in pellet or paste form. Excretory structures in invertebrates, we first encounter Protonephridia, also known as flame cells. These are the excretory structures in platyhelminths, such as flatworms, planaria, rotifers, some annelids, and the cephalocaudate Amphioxus. Protonephridia are primarily concerned with ionic and fluid volume regulation, or osmoregulation. Next, we have Nephridia, tubular excretory structures found in earthworms and other annelids. These structures remove nitrogenous wastes and maintain fluid and ionic balance. Now we come to Malpighian tubules, which are the primary excretory structures in most insects, including cockroaches. They remove nitrogenous wastes and play a crucial role in osmoregulation. Finally, we have antennal glands found among crustaceans. These typically have two antennal glands at their base and perform excretion, osmoregulation, and ion balance. Now, let's talk about the human excretory system. In humans, the excretory system consists of a pair of kidneys, one pair of ureters, a urinary bladder, and a urethra. The kidneys themselves are reddish-brown, bean-shaped structures located between the last thoracic and third lumbar vertebrae, close to the dorsal inner wall of the abdominal cavity. In terms of kidney dimensions, the average adult kidney measures about 10 to 12 centimeters in length, 5 to 7 centimeters in width, and 2 to 3 centimeters in thickness. The average adult kidney weighs between 120 to 170 grams. The outer layer of kidney is a tough capsule. Inside the kidney, there are two zones, an outer cortex and an inner medulla. The medulla is divided into a few conical masses, medullary pyramids. The hilum is also an important feature of the kidney. It is a notch towards the center of the inner concave surface where the ureter, blood vessels, and nerves enter the kidney. Inner to the hilum is a broad funnel-shaped space called the renal pelvis, with projections called calyces. Columns of Bertini. The cortex extends between the medullary pyramids as renal columns. At the core of the kidney's function are the nephrons, which are complex tubular structures that function as the kidney's working units. Each kidney contains nearly 1 million nephrons, making them crucial for filtering blood and producing urine. Now, what are the main components of a nephron? Each nephron consists of the glomerulus, the renal tubule, and Bowman's capsule. Next, let's focus on the glomerulus structure. The glomerulus is a tuft of capillaries formed from the afferent arteriole, a branch of the renal artery. Blood exits the glomerulus through the efferent arteriole, continuing the filtration process in the kidney. The renal tubule begins with Bowman's capsule, a double-walled, cup-like structure that surrounds the glomerulus. Together, they form the renal corpuscle, which is essential for filtration. Moving on to the nephron tubular system, it begins with Bowman's capsule and continues with the proximal convoluted tubule, which is a highly coiled network. This is followed by Henle's loop, a hairpin-shaped structure with descending and ascending limbs. It's followed by distal convoluted tubule, which is another highly coiled region, and finally, the collecting duct. Each part of the nephron plays a vital role in processing the filtrate. Nephron is divided into the cortical and the medullary region. Cortical region contains the Malpighian corpuscle, PCT, and DCT of the nephron. In contrast, medullary region is where the loop of Henle dips. What are the types of nephrons? There are two types of nephrons: cortical nephrons, which are the majority and have a short loop of Henle, and juxtamedullary nephrons, which are fewer and have a very long loop that runs deep into the medulla. Next, we have peritubular capillaries. These are formed by the efferent arteriole emerging from the glomerulus and create a fine capillary network surrounding the renal tubule. This network is vital for reabsorption and secretion between the blood and tubular fluid. Now, let's take a look at vasa recta. It's a small vessel of the peritubular capillary network and runs parallel to Henle's loop, forming a U-shaped structure. It's absent or highly reduced in cortical nephrons and helps maintain concentration gradient in the medulla. We hope that you have understood the topic. You can now study chapter notes, watch video lectures and solve MCQ tests of this chapter on EduRev to ensure you score well in your exams. And that's not all. You also get amazing courses for maths, science, English, Hindi, and much more for NEET. Thank you.